I'll introduce Sheikh Shabir Ali, who really is one of the leading figures in terms of comparative religion in the West and really the world. And I've had the opportunity, I don't think you remember this either, I've met him a number of times at events and we've organized a number of events. And one of the events I remember that we organized at Imperial College was with one of the greatest atheists really and agnostics in this country, Peter Atkins. I don't know if you remember that. And really, you know, people were scared, up in arms before, saying, look, how is, you know, how are we going to be able to take on the second leading atheist of which is open to Britain? And, you know, really, there was no contest, I'm telling you. There was absolutely no argument left off the back of Peter Atkins. He was stumbling, and that is a testament to Sheikh Shabir Ali. He's got a degree in religious studies, specialized in biblical texts. He's got an MA in tafsir, and as I said, he's an expert on interfaith issues. And really, without further ado, I could say a lot more, but we need to get on with the program. I'd like to invite Sheikh Shabir Ali to the floor, but before that, who here is married? How's it married? Right, not many, I think. Right, and the ones who are not married, this is obviously marriage and family life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil kareem. We'll make this talk for everyone, for those who are married and those who are soon to be married, inshallah. As for those who have no interest in getting married, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on you. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said, "Nikah is sunnati." The nikah is my sunnah, and whoever rejects or reneges from my sunnah is not one of ours. So marriage has to be accepted as a part of the religion of Islam. Some people, for their own personal reasons, may not want to get married. This is fine. Some of our great Muslim scholars in history were not married, and Allah knows best what the reasons were. Perhaps they were so busy with their books that they had not just simply 4 wives, but thousands of wives. The books kept them engaged and really prevented them from getting married. Sometimes my wife wonders if I'm really married to my own books rather than committed to the family. But it is with my wife's cooperation and help that I'm able to speak before you here today. And this is one of the beauties of marriage, that marriage brings people together in a cooperative venture and makes it possible for the two of them as a group to do much more than each of them could have done singly, or much more than each singly put together could have done. Am I saying that right? If we have the efforts of one to the efforts of the other, when these were divided, that would not be as much as the efforts of the group combined. And often we notice that division in our mosques and in our Islamic centers and community organizations really reflects the poverty of mind. It shows that we're not able to get together and compromise and work together, but we see the results often, or rather we see the lack of results and the lack of progress in the Muslim communities because of this. Individuals by themselves can accomplish so much, but the smallest jama'ah that we make is the jama'ah of 2 persons. And in a marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings 2 persons together. This, in fact, is one of the signs. And it is remarkable that despite the fact that people are so different, they can come together in a marriage. In Surah Ar-Rum, the 30th chapter of the Quran, in the 21st verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, مِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And among His signs is this, that He has created for you mates from your own kind. And He has placed between you love and mercy. Certainly, in this is a sign, or our signs. In this are signs for people who yatafakkarun, who reflect, who think. And if you think about it, you realize how difficult it is to bring 2 people together in such a harmonious relationship of love and tenderness and kindness. And Allah brings them together in marriage. Some marriages are prearranged, and there are persons who have not known each other previously, they got married, and after marriage, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did put that love and mercy and kindness in in their hearts. From the Islamic point of view, you don't have this romantic idea perpetuated by Hollywood movies and now even Bollywood movies, where boy meets girl and they fall in love all over the place. And in every one of these movies, you have to have this somebody who's always falling in love. But the Islamic idea is that people should get married with someone who is compatible with him or her. Compatible means that you have the same interests, you have some of the same likes and dislikes, you have some common interests to share with each other. And one of the most common interests between two Muslims is in fact the religion of Islam on the whole. If two persons get married to each other because of this common interest, that will be the glue that will hold them together. But if people get married for other reasons, because they just simply fell in love and they didn't think twice, this is just the person I want at the moment, beware. That which you feel as love may just be a temporary infatuation, which will pass with the fading of time, it will fade with the passing of time, and eventually a person may regret the choice that he or she has made. But if you make an intelligent choice, that will always remain an intelligent choice. So you evaluate your thing. A brother should be asking about the sister he wants to get married to. Is this sister capable of training my children in the religion of Islam? Because the last one will be the first madrasa or education center for my children. How will they be educated? Is this sister capable? This is one of the reasons why the scholars of Islam generally have said that even though it is permissible, according to the Quran, for a brother to marry a sister from the people of the book, it is not recommended. Some have even said it is makruh. Because you want really not just simply any sister, but you want a Muslim sister. And not just simply a Muslim sister, but that Muslim sister who is dedicated to the faith, so that you can have the confidence that in your absence, Islam will be alive and well in your family due to this contribution. Some of the brothers are lazy to get up for Fajr, you know that. But you want a sister who will in fact get you up for Fajr. This is the cooperative venture that will bring on more good from the two of you together than if each of you were working singularly and independently. So it is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that people get together after making this intelligent choice, and then Allah puts the love and mercy in their hearts. Some of the great people complain to the imams, they say, Imam, I don't love my wife, or I don't love my husband. And the best advice an imam will give to the person in this situation is you continue to treat your spouse with love and kindness. And Allah is the one who will put that love and mercy between you eventually, even if it is not there. The Prophet Muhammad himself gave this advice. He said that if you find something in your wife that you don't like, then look for something that you do like. And be patient with her, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will eventually put the love and mercy between you. So don't expect it to be something magical that will appear there and will always be burning bright. Sometimes it will fade, sometimes life will have its ups and downs. But if you continue treating your spouse with love and kindness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will expand that and intensify it between you. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advises men, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Live with them in kindness, meaning live with your wives in kindness. When it says them, in the Arabic here, the them is feminine. So this is how we know it is referring to the wives. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Live with the women in kindness. إِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. If you dislike them, then it is possible that you dislike a thing in which Allah is placing much good. You don't know, but Allah knows. In the Quran, things are put in such a way that it's always amazing when you ponder the meaning of the Quranic text. A person may look at his wife and say, this woman is no good. So he dislikes her. And Allah is saying, perhaps you dislike something in which Allah is putting much good. Now, Allah could have said that He already put much good in her. That would be true. Because that's true. Everyone has some good, whether we recognize it or not. Even a very bad person has some good. Even the shaitan told the truth on at least one occasion that is recorded in Sahih Bukhari when he advised Abu Hurairah to read Ayat al-Kursi. So everyone has got some good in the name of her. And Allah has already put some good in her. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts it now in the mudari', in the continuous. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Whereas Allah is putting good, much good, into that thing which you yourself dislike now. Which means that even if you don't see any good now, just wait. Allah might be putting even more good govern themselves in a marriage, to keep that love burning bright. And we want to look at some of the ways in which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself showed kindness towards his family. In fact, it is reported that the Prophet ﷺ never beat his wives. In fact, not to speak of wives, he never beat any child, he never beat any animal. The Prophet ﷺ was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a mercy to the universe. And we too should be like him, in mercy to everyone that we come into contact with. Some people read Surah 4, Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 34, which begins, "Al-Rijal qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa." Men are to protect and maintain women, and which includes the injunction, "Wadribuhun," and beat them. And they misunderstand this verse. In fact, this verse has been widely misunderstood, and I do not have the time now sufficient to go into a detailed commentary on this verse. But suffice to say that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the best example of putting the Quran into action. Aisha has said that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was the Quran in motion. He was the Quran in the Hadith, the moving the Quran in motion. So he put the Quran into practice. And if he never beat any woman, that shows that that is the way to put the Quranic injunctions into practice. Imam Shabir is famous for saying that if one is not convinced that that will be of any benefit, he should not make use of it. But better than Imam Shabir is the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who never beat any woman. And when it was complained to him that some of the men were beating their wives, he made a public announcement. He said that many women came complaining to the house of the Messenger of Allah, saying that the men are beating them. And he said, those men who beat their wives are not the best of men. So you don't want to be the best of men before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay, show up with a bad record. And one of the things that will give you a bad record is beating your wives. So be kind to them, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Wa'ashiruhunna bil ma'ruf." Women should also, of course, be kind to their husbands and appreciative of the efforts of the husbands, especially if the husband is the sole breadwinner. Often misunderstandings occur in the home because either the husband does not appreciate the efforts of the wife, or the wife does not appreciate the efforts of the husband. But appreciate each other. A man comes home from work often and he has had a very busy day. When he comes home, it is the nature of men that they like to chill out for a little while. They like to have a little bit of time for themselves. That they may not be in the mood for conversation when they have just come home from work. But on the other hand, the nature of women is generally such that they like to talk. There's all this time that make them. Guess who taught you the language that you speak? It's your mom. Because she's been talking to you when you couldn't understand what she was saying. And we guys wouldn't talk to children because we figure what to say, they don't understand. We don't say things that the people they cannot understand. But the mothers have that patience and that love to speak to the children. So they love to talk. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them. So the sister wants to talk in that situation because she's been saving up all day, every thought she had to share with her loving husband at the end of the day. And now he's come home at the end of the day and he doesn't want to hear a thing. So we have a problem. But we can reconcile that problem by recognizing the differences in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us. Recognize that the man needs a little bit of time to chill out, so give him some time. Say, honey, I've got a lot to tell you, but I'm going to give you some time to chill out, and then I'm going to talk to you about all of that. How much time do you need? And then you reply to me, until the end of the football game. So we have to be reasonable and compromise. We have to adapt to the needs of each other. So if the brother says, look, I just need half an hour to myself, let me, unwind from the hard day's work. I've got all these problems and so on. I'd like to tell you about that as well. But let me just unwind from all of that. Then I'll have a chance to hear about all the problems you've had during the day. Show some appreciation. A sister, in fact, loves to be appreciated in general. A sister goes through all of the work trying to make the curry exactly the right taste for you and just for you. Just the way you like it. And she's waiting now, and she's going to look at your expressions to see if you really appreciate it, to know if she's really done it well. And if you don't show that appreciation, she might feel spurned. After all this effort, he doesn't appreciate it. So show some appreciation and say, guys don't speak. Guys don't know what to say to each other. They just don't speak a lot, do they? Two guys meet each other, and one of them says, When you put two sisters together in a room, and within 5 minutes, they know the names of each other's children, they know, and so on. So show some appreciation by speaking. Our brother says, well, of course I appreciate the food I'm eating, aren't I? That's enough. He appreciates it. But she wants to hear that. Say, you know, honey, this is so delicious. I really want to thank you for putting so much care into preparing our meals and taking care of the family in my absence. Show that sign of love and actually say, the sister puts on a beautiful dress and she expects that her husband, who is the only person she's dressing for, should show some appreciation for it. The brother doesn't even notice what she's wearing. Show some appreciation and tell her how beautiful she looks. These are the little things, in fact, that add to the luster of life in a relationship. Often misunderstandings arise in a relationship because of intervention from other people. Muslims do not intend to live isolated lives. We live with extended families. Muslims care for the elderly, for example. We do not have this idea of putting away our elderly persons, our parents who have cared for us so much throughout our lives, away into an old age facility where they will just simply be waiting to die, away from the loving environment and home that they have enjoyed and they themselves have worked so hard to create all of their lives. So we try our best to keep them with us. I know that sometimes this may not be possible because the kind of medical care that might be needed, the facilities that may be available elsewhere may make it more convenient and better for everyone involved to make use of such facilities. But as far as possible, Muslims try to keep their parents with them. And give back some of that love and care that our parents have given us when we ourselves were helpless and just our diapers. But sometimes the parents do not know how to let go, and all of this has to be understood. People have difficulties in their marital relationship sometimes because of intervention from others and especially from in-laws. Somebody made a movie called about mother-in-law. What do they call the movie? What is it?
Was it the in-laws?
In-laws, yeah, in-laws. But there was a movie about mother-in-laws in particular. Somebody said it from the back, monster-in-law. But sometimes it doesn't seem like that. Of course, people have good intentions. A mother really cares for her son. And she has developed a lifelong relationship with him, of taking care of him. Mothers really care for their sons. And the guy who's big and strong, he's ready to go out and he's a little bit chilly out, and the mom is saying, wear a sweater. And the guy's saying, no, I'm big and strong, I don't need a sweater. And the thing is that even when it is nice and warm, the mom is saying, wear a sweater. And of course, you don't need a sweater. The mom somehow wants to be overprotective and wants to make sure you wear a sweater. So somebody said that the sweater is that which you wear when your mom feels cold. You don't have to necessarily feel cold. Your mom feels cold, you wear a sweater. But at a certain point, the mom has to learn to let go. Because now you grow up, you become an adult, you have to make decisions for yourself. Moreover, when you have another woman in your life, namely, you have gotten married. Now, there's somebody else who will have that sort of motherly instinct for you as well. Your wife will have the same sort of motherly instinct for you, even though she's not your mother, but she wants to take care of you in the same way. She wants to make sure that her dear loving husband does not go out in the cold without a sweater. She wants to take care of you. She wants to dictate how you're going to be cared for. And now there is a clash between the two interests. Because the mother wants to take care of you in the same old way that she's always done. And then there is this other woman whom you got married to, who also wants to take care of you in her own way. And of course the mother is older and more experienced and wiser, and she thinks that she should be the one to have the final say. So who has it? Often the brother is torn in between, trying to please his mom and trying to show love and courtesy to his wife. And it's not an easy decision, not an easy balance to strike, but one has to talk about things like this. One has to sit down with his mom and say, Mom, I really love you. And all the years you've taken care of me has actually brought me to this stage. It's made me the person that I am. And whatever success I have is due to you. And now has come the time for me to, like an eagle, fly with my own wings. I have to be able to have that freedom to move about and to think and to make contributions according to the way that I will think. I will make mistakes as I go on, but I want to be able to make those mistakes because that is the only way that I'm ever going to learn to get up from and she also has a right that I have to care for her, I have to love her, and I also have to give her the chance to care for me with that motherly instinct that Allah has placed in all women, in you and in her. She has to have her chance too to care for her husband. She has to be able to make some decisions about what I will wear, what I will not wear. Stuff like this has to be discussed. And in a similar way, one has to talk to his wife. You know, my dear wife, even though I love you so much, and that is for granted, we both have to realize that service to our parents is very important. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah has commanded that you should worship none but you and be kind to your parents. The mother is especially mentioned. So one has to be able to strike that balance and discuss this with both parties in order to bring them together to mutual understanding so that you can actually stay afloat. Otherwise, guys get buried in this, tossed and torn between the two interests. Do I try to please my wife or do I try to please my mother? Sometimes the intervention from other family members can actually make life for a woman difficult in her own home. In fact, the way Islam sees this is that a woman is a queen in her own home. And if there are other family members in the extended family who are there, they have to subscribe to the rules which are made by the woman. Because she is the boss over her own family. A man is the head of his family, according to the hadith. And the woman is also a ra'iyah. She also has responsibility over those who are under her, over her children, for example. So if a grandma is here at home, and the grandma wants to bring up the children according to her own methods, and the mother wants to bring up her own children according to her own methods, who should rule? It's the mother of the child. So perhaps a mother of a child allows the child to cry for a little, because that's the way to teach him. You don't get everything you cry for. Kid says, I want that. So you just give it to him? What does that mean? Every time he wants something, what? And then he goes up into a cry baby. Every time he wants something, what? He might do it in a different way, but it amounts to the same thing. He turns out to be a whiner throughout life because he's been accustomed to getting everything that he throws up a tantrum for. So a mother would be wise to say, look, I'm going to give you things within reason. If you ask for something reasonable, and I can give that to you, I'll be delighted to give that to you. But if you're going to rant and wail and kick up a storm over it, even if I wanted to give it to you, I won't give it to you. Just to teach you that you shouldn't pick up a storm like that. Don't take me into the supermarket and point to the toys and go, I want to get that. I'm not going to give it to you just because you said that. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to buy it to you anyhow because it looks good. It's a nice toy. But if you're going to act like that, I won't. And I won't do it today. Next time you come back to the store, if I see that you're out ranting and raving, I'll like you. So that's the way of educating and training a child. But you know, grandmas and grandpas, they're more merciful than this. So the child cries and says, oh, no, let me, look at this poor child. Give him what he wants. So then the authority is taken away from the mother and father, and it's on to the grandmother and grandpa. And in fact, they're not using that authority to train and mold the child in the proper way. They're just simply expressing the love and the mercy that they feel. They have the same love and mercy for their own children, and the children are all grown up. They cannot express that love and mercy anymore. They're dying to express that somehow. Who are they going to express it to? To the grandparents, to the grandchildren. But that, in fact, can spoil the grandchildren. So who has the authority in how to raise the children? It is the parents themselves. They have to have that authority in the home. Sister-in-laws and brothers-in-law will come in, and they will sometimes cause havoc in the family because they pull the persons in the marriage in a separate direction, away from his spousal interest. Beware of this. And each person has to recognize that they have a responsibility towards the other. Finally, because we have other speakers coming up, we must say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this institution of marriage in order to make us better. And we should start from the beginning to decide how we're going to choose our partners, because this is going to be a lifelong, we're going to be affected by that decision lifelong. So brothers, choose a sister not for her beauty alone, but for her religion. As the Prophet ﷺ said, a woman is married for 4 things, either for her religion, or for her beauty, or for her status, or for her wealth. So you marry for deen, for the religion. Choose that. Sisters should be advised to marry the brothers who can, in fact, instill the religion of Islam in their homes. The brother who would actually appreciate the fact that she wears the hijab. The brother who actually does not look out for things which are contrary to the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that he, as an authority in the home, will actually implement the religion of Islam. A sister should appreciate the brother who is actually carrying the sunnah. Some of the sisters, in fact, are looking for the brothers who look like the Bollywood stars. Or perhaps Tom Cruise. And in that case, it becomes difficult for the brothers to put on the sunnah. Because when the brother wants to put on the sunnah, the mother is saying to the brother, no, don't do that yet. First get married and then you can have a beard if you want. Because if you put on a beard now, who's going to want to marry you? In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send us the right person. You have to just take with the religion of Allah, and then Allah will send you the person who will appreciate the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we want. We don't have to put on any show or pretend to be something we're not in order to attract the wrong person and then try to change that person. Instead of the woman spends many years of her life looking for the right person, and then she marries him, and then she spends the rest of her life trying to change him. And it doesn't work. So look for the right person, right from the very start, the person who will appreciate the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the marriage, show love and kindness. Many of our Muslim brothers have some antiquated ideas about how to live in a family relationship. Because of certain ayahs in the Quran, for example, they misunderstand that and they think that the man is really the boss over his wife. But in fact, they're not taking all of the entire Quran into context. You are, in fact, in an equal relationship. In the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, in ayah number 228, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And they shall have rights equal to the responsibilities that are due on them. And Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah said that what follows this, when it says, وَلِلْرِجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةٌ, does not mean that the man is superior to the woman. He said, because if you took that meaning, then it will contradict the previous statement. Because the previous statement implies equality. So you have to follow through with that into the second statement. The second statement which says that men have a degree over them, according to Imam al-Tabari rahimahullah, could only mean that the men are being appealed to in a special way and given a special responsibility that in their relationship they have to exercise more patience in dealing with their wives. That's what he said. Not making it up, that's your Tabari. And he's correct because he's taking the ayah as a whole, not a piece at a time and saying this is what it means. If you take just a piece of an ayah, you can make it mean something completely opposite. Take the whole thing and then take the Quran as a whole and see what it teaches. Men have to be kind to their wives, and this is where we began and we will end here. Some of the brothers understand that they have to walk ahead of their wives. I don't know how this understanding came. A young brother from London asked me once, Brother Shabir, what would happen if the woman is attacked? How will he be a defender of his wife if he's walking 10 yards ahead of her? Walk with the sister. Be a loving mate by her side and protect her. If you're really the Qawamun al-Nisa, then you should protect them. Be there by their side to protect them. It's a very strange thing that a guy runs after a woman and then he marries her and then he walks ahead of her. In short, if you're not yet married, it is time for you to do so. The Prophet ﷺ said in the Nikah, the Nikah is one of my sunnahs. And the marriage, of course, protects the person from falling into error. This is one of the protective mechanisms. It keeps the gaze lower and it protects the individual from falling into error. So take that protection which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And if you're already married, live in your relationship with love and kindness, with understanding. Try to understand the other person. Compromise. Work with each other. Talk things over. Discuss. And reach mutual agreements. Work with that. Stick with it. And be committed to the happiness, not of yourself. You have in fact sacrificed that when you have entered into the marital relationship. Work for the happiness of your spouse. And if each person does that, rather than each claiming his rights from the other, then people will become much happier than they are now.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Shabir Ali, for enlightening talk.
Allahu Akbar.
Actually, there's a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I don't know if the Sheikh approves of that book, but it's certainly an interesting, useful book to read, which basically says a lot of what Sheikh Shabir Ali was saying. In fact, a Sheikh from Libya once told me that this book should be summarized in terms of Nafi Sharia course, because it talks about essentially what he was talking about. So it's a small book by somebody called John Gray, and it'll probably be useful to talk about that. Could I just now ask First Ethical, Imran Hazem from First Ethical to come up and give us a short presentation of what First Ethical are about?
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah Shabir for the words of wisdom. It's just a shame my wife wasn't here to hear on my mother. I'm going to give you a few minutes to speak about First Ethical. Can I just have a quick straw poll and I'd like some enthusiasm and no hands up. So, who has heard of First Ethical here? That's not many, and I know more of you have. So let's try that again. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
That's okay. Who here has heard of First Ethical? Okay. I was expecting more, but it doesn't matter. It means I can tell you a bit more about the organisation. We started 5 years ago in order to provide, not exclusively, but mainly the Muslim community here in the UK with investment advice and tax planning advice. And this is because we're at a time now where, alhamdulillah, we're expanding at quite a rate. The amount of money that we're making is increasing, whether it's at individuals or as companies. And so therefore the tax burden that we face is increasing. So there's a need for somebody to provide professional third-party advice to show you how to avoid taxation in this country. And that can't be a bad thing because we pretty much know where a lot of our tax money goes, especially at the moment. But instead of using this as a platform to really talk about the commercial aspect of First Ethical, I really want to talk about what we call First Ethical Charitable Trust and some of the work that we've been doing through it. And the reason I want to mention this is because a lot of this work that we're doing now has been off the back of the commercial success of the organisation. And this commercial success has only come about because of the trust that the community has put in our organisation. So 5 years ago we started. We're now a nationwide firm. We're a team of 20, 25, inshallah in a few years we'll go to around 50 mark. The charitable trust was set up a little while after First Ethical. And I want to mention 4 or 5 things that we're currently involved in. Firstly, regular charitable activities. Obviously, at this moment in time, let's say for example when the earthquake happened in Pakistan, many people want to give money, but will find it difficult to do so. Number one, because of the corruption on the ground, to be fair, in Pakistan, not knowing where the money was going to go. And also the threat of that contribution coming back to bite us because of the anti-terror legislation there is in this country. You know, you've got £5 to helping somebody rebuild or feed their family, and you could be branded a terrorist. So we now have the charitable trust accepting donations and ensuring that those go through regulated means, so it's risk-free for you, and also ensure that every penny goes to those who it should be, it's earmarked for. But more specific to the finance side of our business, we're looking at long-term goals in order to help sustain the Islamic finance industry here in the UK. Over the last 12 months, we've embarked on a program. I'm going to go over 3 minutes now. We've embarked on a program to actually train up more and more scholars in the field of Islamic finance. Now, I'm sure all of you have questions in this particular field, and I found it difficult to come across people who are qualified enough to be able to give you an answer. So we've taken it upon ourselves to try and vet the islands in this country, for their suitability of going forward to actually be trained as islands in this area, having specialism, and to take up commercial positions within organisations like HSBC, like NatWest, like the Islamic Bank of Britain. Because we all know there are only about 4 or 5 people who are recognised on these Sharia panels, and they're not getting any younger. And if we don't take on the baton here, then the banks will. And they're not our best mates, they're actually involved in this for profits, I'm sure you realise that. Secondly, some of you may have come across Muslim Money. This is a program on the Islam Channel, 6-series program which is currently running on an endless loop, which we have no control over. But this is a program dedicated to the education of our community in relation to all aspects of finance, whether it be zakat, not zakat on a cow or a sheep, zakat on your mortgage, and how to calculate your profit. Yeah. Also, issues of inheritance tax. Will writing within this country, obviously you face 40% inheritance tax when you pass away if your wealth is above a certain amount. So this is part of our drive to educate the community as well as develop products which are suitable for us. So we're a completely independent organisation, we're completely funded, we don't take a loan, we're completely funded from the business that we write, and we want it to remain that way so we continue to be an independent voice. And finally, one of the things that we're really pushing for now is to develop modules to be associated with university courses. 2 weeks ago we presented at Durham University at their Islamic Finance Seminar, Summer School. And this is something we want to do on a more and more consistent basis because we want to provide education to the mainstream community but also the academics in a Muslim and a non-Muslim world so that we can promote a positive side of this religion. And if one looks into Islamic finance, you'll find a very strong argument here, a very strong intellectual and economic argument, which would surprise a lot of people, which has a lot of common sense, and which really does hit many chords, because nobody in the capitalist world actually likes banks. Well, Islamic finance provides an alternative to that. So if we can educate people through mainstream universities by developing modules which people on finance degrees and legal degrees can take up, and this is really going to push this forwards. If you want more information about First Ethical, go to our website. Under publications, you'll find a whole resource of information, resource papers, whether or not insurance is halal or haram. Obviously, that's a contentious issue. But you'll find a lot of information on there, and you'll also find our contact details. So just go ahead for listening. We'll have some information out there on the school as well. So,
just want to make a few announcements before we carry on and go ahead with the program. Can I just ask the sisters in the room across the mosque, where the sisters sit now on the chairs, would you please be, there are people who are asking you to be quiet during the talks, because people can't actually hear the talks. So if you could keep the noise down, because people can't hear. So I'm addressing the sisters who are sitting on the chairs in the sisters area. That's number one. Number two, anybody who's registered their kids in the creche needs to take their kids there and leave their kids there. So, you know, if you register your kids in the creche area, please leave them there until you register out. Could you there's a few changes to the program, because some of the scholars would like to go and have a rest in the hotel, so we're going to make a few changes just to accommodate that. We're going to have a Q&A session right after this, inshallah. Sheikh Jamal Badawi and Sheikh Hakim Quick will be answering the questions. So if you have questions that relate to them, then please send them in right now. Alhamdulillah, I've just been given the excellent news. There's a sister who's ready to take Shahada, who's ready to become a Muslim. Inshallah, and she's here in this mosque now. She can come. Oh, she said she's already seated. So I'll pass it over to Professor Jamal Badawi to lead, inshallah.
نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ به من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا. All praise to you, Allah, the sole creator, sustainer, and cherisher of the universe. And may the peace and blessing be upon his last prophet and messenger Muhammad, and upon all his brother prophets who preceded him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فمن يريد الله أن يهديه يشرح صدره للإسلام. Any person whom Allah wants to bestow the gift of guidance, Allah will expand the heart of that person to Islam. And let us remember that when we say the word Islam, we're not talking in a partisan way only about the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Islam actually etymologically comes from Silam, which means peace and submission. And actually the proper meaning of Islam is to achieve peace, to be at peace with Allah, resulting in being at peace within oneself, inner peace, resulting if the person is true, not just paying lip service. If the person is truly at peace with Allah, at peace with himself or herself, he or she is bound to be at peace with all the creation of Allah. Whether human beings, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, non-Muslims who are peacefully coexisting with Muslims, we have to live with them, as the Quran directs us in the 60th chapter of Surah of the Quran. Not only this, Islam is very comprehensive, to be at peace not only with human beings, but with animals. And we find the Prophet ﷺ showed a great deal of sincerity in the suffering of animals, even how much load they have on camel. So they're not only women right, this right, or that right, there were also camels' rights. And the Prophet ﷺ spoke about kindness to animals. So to be at peace with animals. Thirdly, to be at peace with vegetation. As the Prophet ﷺ taught, to respect the creation of Allah, not to destroy fruitful trees without any necessity or burn them. Even in the battlefield, when it's necessary to defend yourself, you don't just go on without any strategic reason, as we see it in Palestine, Lebanon, and just destroy things without any necessity. Not only this, but there is evidence from the early days to show that that peace is also peace with the inanimate world, with the ecology, as we call it today. And as the beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught, that you have to use even water wisely. You don't pollute the environment. You don't cause spread of disease by relieving yourself in the shade of trees, which is very scientific, shades of trees or places that people need. And before I go on to my sister here, in fact, I'd like to mention something that's amazing as to how Islam teaches respect and love of all creation, love of Allah and all the creation of Allah. You know, one time the Prophet ﷺ was passing by the Mount Uhud mountain, and he looks at the mountain and says, "This is a mountain that loves us, and we love it." What does it mean to love the mountain? To climb and hug the mountain and start swoosh like a lift, kisses? But that shows what the Prophet, peace be upon him, said is an echo of what the Quran teaches. The Quran, when it talks about mountains, it talks about the variety of colors and hues in mountains. So this love relationship means love of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the mountain loving us is a symbol, as the Quran says, that everything that Allah created in heavens and on earth is for the benefit of the humans. So it's an expression also of the divine love and sensitivity to the needs of the human. So with Islam being defined as such, is there any prophet who taught something different? All prophets in history, in that sense, were generic Muslims. So this is just a humble comment. I didn't make it that long, I just feel spontaneous about the ayah that whoever Allah wishes to guide, He will open or expand their heart for Islam. Again, it's not partisan, it's Islam, and that universal type of meaning. I promised my sister here not to make her nervous, but I was told, Sister Melissa, and I presume that you have known something about the basics of Islam, of course, the oneness of Allah, the respect and accept as all of the prophets. So assuming that this has been taken care of already, I simply ask her to repeat the testimony of faith after me. It doesn't have to be in Arabic, but I go slow in Arabic and then I give the translation so that she knows what she's accepting, inshallah. So if you just say, oh yeah, okay, that's good. You can't fix it. Relax. If you just say after me, Ashhadu, Ashhadu, an la ilaha illa Allah, wa ashhadu, anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Let's get something more understandable. I testify that there is no deity, that there is no God, except the one true universal God of all. And I testify that Muhammad is his prophet and last messenger. And Allah is my witness. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. You know when you ask most of the Western people, what is Allahu Akbar? They will tell you, war cry. War cry. Many do not realize that an ordinary Muslim, in the most peaceful act of worship of Allah in the 5 daily prayers, you calculate, go home and calculate how many times you say Allahu Akbar when you begin Salah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Sama Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Just try to count, if you pray only the fard, the minimum, how many dozens of times every day you say Allahu Akbar. Is that a whole cry? And when the brothers and sisters, we say Allahu Akbar, it is an expression of joy, not of aggression. There are cases, of course, where people in the back remember Allah also. But to call it war cry is a big disservice to the true beautiful meaning, which means God is being great. On good behalf of all of you, I wish to welcome our dear sister, Melissa, to the fold of Islam, the religion of all of the prophets. And we all pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to bless her and to bless you.